It was the most pain I'd ever been in my life, and I never want to be in that much pain again. The first big injury that I can recall, I was 5. I went to go stay at my grandparents' house for the weekend while my mom and dad went out to go do something. Now, about like 1 or 2 nights into this stay at my grandma and grandpa's house, I had rollen off of my grandfather's bed at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I smacked my face against their vent on the floor, resulting in me like cutting my eyelid open or like taking a bunch of skin off the eyelid. I don't remember. Obviously, I was 5, but this is the vent today. That picture was taken 3 days ago, and the skin is still there. It is 2022. This happened in 2007. Pretty gnarly. Now, why am I telling you guys all this? Honestly, I just think it's funny as shit. It makes for a good story, and honestly, none of this has not happened to anybody else in their life. I guarantee that no one else besides me has rollen off of a bed, smacked their face, and the skin still be on the vent to this day. Just saying. Now again, I don't remember much about having stitches in my eyelid or above my eye. I actually still have the scar there today. I'm not going to get up close to the camera to show you. That's weird. Plus you can see my pores when I get very close. This is a 4K camera after all, even though I'm using the 1080p setting on it. So that says a lot about me. Anyway guys, I just wanted to share this with you guys because it's funny. Now, obviously, I do remember one thing about this from my own personal memory, not things I was told. I remember going to daycare and all the kids like staring at me like, what the fuck happened to that kid? It's kind of like when you go to school and you have a full arm cast on and everyone's staring at little Timmy in the corner over there being like, holy shit, what happened to Timmy? That's what it was like, and a lot of kids kept asking me what happened, and they didn't believe me for some reason that I fell off of a bed and I smacked my face on a vent and I had to get stitches. That didn't hold up. That's probably because of the story that I was told from my mother that makes her sound super suspicious. Okay, so she told me this story a couple years ago, and essentially the story goes like this. She went out shopping with me and my little sister at the time, and we were in like a Kohl's or a Walmart or like a Sears. We were in some store. And there was a bunch of special needs kids shopping there. It was like some sort of event thing, but other people were still allowed to shop there. Well, my mom had me in the cart, and all the kids kept staring at me because my eye was all messed up. They kept tugging on their parents' shirt, being like, what happened to that kid's eye? Like, is he okay? Like, what happened? And my mom decided, instead of explaining to the parents what had happened, to like not seem suspicious, she instead decided it would be a good idea to run into the other aisles to hide from the parents and their kids to make me feel better. I don't know.
So I forgot to mention, this is what I look like when I went into that store, and also when I went back to daycare. It's not as bad as I was describing it, I guess, but it's pretty bad for a 5-year-old to have. So yeah.
So my next big injury actually has no notable pictures or videos or anything of that sort, because I kind of grew up at that weird time where parents didn't really document like pictures or videos of their kids until like the early days of like Facebook and stuff and like social media, and my parents weren't really people like that until those kind of platforms came out. So things like this elbow injury that I have. Yeah, see that? I didn't even know it looked like that when I have my arm straight out. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's like no like footage or pictures of like when it happened. But I, however, do remember the whole story by memory, so I'm just going to briefly knock that out of the way along with a couple other things like I just said. So it was like 2009 or 10, maybe 11. I can't remember what year. I'm going to say it was like 10 or 11. My sister and I were watching a movie under her bed. That sounds super weird. She had like a bed where like the framing, her bed was like really high up, but you could like see out from under the bed with the framing. And I decided I was going to pinch her. So I reached over, I pinched her. Obviously, when you pinch your sibling, they're going to want to pinch you back. So she went to go do that, and out of the corner of my eyes, saw her hand coming. I fucking swooped over, and it sliced my elbow open. And, sorry, I'm going to tell the story exactly how it happened, because I went to my dad's door. My dad had just started being a cop. And I remember holding my elbow like this, and I was like knocking on the door frantically, trying to get him to come out of the room to help me. And he did eventually. For what seemed like forever, I was bleeding all over. So I don't remember the drive to my daycare, but he dropped me off at my daycare center, and basically was like, I don't know what to do. And then my daycare lady like patched me up, and yeah. So that's what I remember from that. Not very interesting. So another thing that happened to me, I busted the back of my head open. And guys, I can't remember what order these happened, and I just remember the eyelid being the very first thing that had happened to me, like injury-wise. And it could have been like my eyelid, and then I busted my head open, or it could have been like then I cut my elbow and then my head. I can't remember, but I want to say it was about 2010 when this one happened too. My grandparents were about to leave. I was bouncing. Our couches were set up like this, if that makes sense. So there was a couch here and then a couch here, and then there was a coffee table in between that. And I was jumping from this couch to that couch, back that way, and the corner of the coffee table was sticking out. And the last time I did that, I came back too hard, and I had the corner of the coffee table go into my head. And it was super gnarly, super bad. So guess who got to stay? Grandma and Grandpa. And they rushed me to the ER, and they put like, I want to say like 9 staples in the back of my head. And yeah, that was super weird. And I still remember to this day, like reaching back to like touch them and like feeling the staples in my head. It was super gnarly. Okay, so now for the top 2 worst injuries that I've ever had in my life. And guys, they both happened in 2022. Guys, 2021 could have been a super fucked up year for me, because I started 2021 with the most horrific car wreck I've ever been in my life. And surprise, surprise, that's not what one of the injuries is, because all of us came out of that car wreck completely unscathed. The only thing that was wrong with any of us is we just had like sore bodies from our bodies being whipped around in the car. We were fine. Why do I bring this up though? Because in April, I went to take my buddy to go see the crash site, which I don't know if that's a thing that people do when they get into a super fucked up car wreck. They take people to the place that they almost died, but that's what I did. I took my buddy over to go see, because there were still parts of the car everywhere. The windshield was in the water still, like shattered into millions of pieces. It was very cool to look at for sure. Well, behind where we had crashed, there was a very steep hill that went straight up, and then there was a big plot of land up there where like the top was. And my buddy goes, I bet we could climb that. And I said, son of a bitch, I bet you're right. So we went through this whole thing, getting over the river, getting to where, scoping it out, and he goes, I don't think this is a good idea. And I said, pussy. And he goes, well, we'll see how like the first few feet go. And the first few feet were a pretty big struggle, and that should have been a red flag to get the fuck down and just go do something else. But no, that is not what we did. I actually am a very good climber, not trying to toot my own horn, and I made it all the way to the top. Well, I get to the top, and I took this video.
You good, bro?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Not sure how
Whew.
much lost.
And as soon as that video stopped rolling, if I had recorded maybe 10 seconds longer, my friend grabbed the branch, he put all of his weight on it, and it snapped. And he went backwards, he flipped, and he rolled all the way down that fucking hill. And he hits the bottom. And I was freaking out because he didn't move for a minute. And he got back up and he goes, we gotta fucking go. We gotta go. Get down here. We gotta go. And my first reaction was, holy fucking shit, he tore something open. He's not okay. So I get down on my butt. And I started sliding down this hill. Maybe if I was a little bit smarter, I should have yelled, "Are you okay? Are you, like, bleeding?" Something to indicate something so I wouldn't freak out. But that's not what I did. I decided to slide on my butt, and I went straight down, hitting my arm and hand on every single fucking rock and whatever was sticking out of the ground, and I cut my, like, almost to my wrist open. Yeah, that's how bad it was. So anyway, I hit the bottom, and I am bleeding. Didn't really look at it because I was like, it's not that bad. And he goes, "Are you bleeding?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I held my hand up, and it was flopping around, and I could see my fucking tendon. So I start freaking out. You know, like, holy shit, I'm gonna bleed out, I'm gonna bleed out, this is not good, holy fucking shit. He fucking ties a tourniquet with his shirt around my arm, and he's like, "Hold pressure on that, we gotta fucking go." So he starts speeding out of this canyon, because that's where we were in a canyon, and and I called my dad, and I told him, I was like, "Hey, I just fell off of this hill." And he goes, "Okay, and?" And I'm like, I cut my arm open, or like my hand open super bad, and I'm bleeding, and you can like see my tendon. And he's like, "Oh, go to urgent care." Well, urgent care was fucking closed, so I had to go to the emergency room. And I went to the ER, I was freaking out, they stitched me up, and I took these videos. So anyway, for like, I want to say, like 2 days, my aunt, she's a nurse, she told me to keep my arm up like this. So, yeah, just enjoy this video here. Anyway, so then, you know, time went by, it got gross, and it started looking all deformed and icky, and, you know, it was just super gross, you know. But it healed, and now it looks as good as ever. Let's get this one out of the way. The worst injury I've had in my entire life. One fateful night in October of 2021. I was cooking dinner, and the recipe called for 3/4 of a cup of olive oil. I put it in the pan. Should have read the instructions more carefully, because what it actually said was 3/4 cups of olive oil on the turkey breast. Well, our turkey breasts weren't even thawed yet. So naturally, it's sitting in the pan. When you leave something in a pan for too long, it'll start to smoke out or whatever if it's not being tended to, because I just let it sit there. And it started smoking out our entire place. My girlfriend, she called her mom, and her mom was on the phone during the most fucking horrifying things you could ever hear on the phone. We were sitting there, and she said, "Turn off the burner." So I turned off the burner, and I went to move the pan to the back burner, and when I did that, the fucking thing caught on fire. So my first instinct was, I don't know what to do, I'm gonna throw it outside. So I ran to the door, and the door was locked. So I was holding the pan like this, the flames were coming at my face, so I put my, actually it was like this, I put my hand out like this to block the flames, and my hand caught on fire for a second, and I fucking went like that, it went out, I dropped the pan, fucking flames went everywhere, caught our carpet on fire, my girlfriend ran to the other room, but when I dropped the pan at the same time, and the carpet caught on fire, it hit our dog's water bowl, and it put everything out. And nobody believes us that this happened to this day. Like, other people that are closer to us obviously believe us, but, like, the doctors didn't believe us. Anyway, that happened, and immediately my arm was just fucked. Like, my arm had oil all over it. It was all black. Like, all my hair had singed away. It was super gnarly looking. And I said, I go, well, this isn't good. So we went to the bathroom, and I start running it under cold water. And I kept doing that. I called my dad. I told him what happened. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, shaking. Do I need to go to the ER? And I FaceTimed him. I showed him my hand, and he's like, yeah, you need to go to the ER. And I was like, okay. So we hopped in the car, we drove to the ER, and we went through this whole thing trying to find where the fucking ER doors were, because the way the hospital was here, it's set up weird. Well, I get to the door, and they let us in, and immediately I start crying. I'm in so much pain. I'm begging them to give me painkillers. I just need something to make the pain go away. So I was sitting there with a moist, burned hand, and I was like crying and everything. They came in. They did a bunch of stuff to it. I can't really remember. I was in so much pain, and they finally ended up wrapping it, and they wrapped it as seen in this video.
There's not really too much to see, but yeah, my hand's stuck like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, they literally wrapped it like this, and they told me, keep it like that for 6 weeks and come back and we'll see what your progress is looking like. Well, thank God I called my aunt, because literally the first night I had to change the bandages, and I was like, I don't know if I should do it this way, or if there's a better method to wrap it. So I called her and I showed her. I was like, yeah, it looks okay. And it literally looked like this. It was so burnt. It was blistered. It was gnarly. It was so gross. And she goes, Connor, get the fuck down here. I'm taking you to the burn clinic. That's where they should have sent you in the first place. And I was like, well, that's not a good sign. So we literally left, and we went to the burn clinic, and I got outpatient treatment for 6 weeks straight. I was it was 4 weeks. For a month, I was outpatient treatment because it stopped in November. Hey guys, little interruption. So in my editing process, I realized I forgot to kind of explain my outpatient treatment from the burn clinic. So honestly, there's not a lot to tell, but I do want to include some of this footage. So for the first part of it, I just had my hands wrapped, and when I got to Omaha, this is what my hand looked like in this video here.
Should I just FaceTime Katie during this?
Sure.
That's just disgusting.
So my hand looked like that in that video, and then of course the next day we went to the actual clinic, where he came in and he started cutting all of my blisters out and draining them and all this weird stuff. And then he takes a washcloth and he holds it up and he says, "You ready?" And I said, "I think so." And he grabbed my hand and he started scrubbing my hand with the dry ass washcloth, leading my hand to look like this. And that was the most painful thing that I've ever experienced. I do not want to go through that again. And he asked me if I would like to do pig intestines on my hand to make my skin grow faster. And I was like, sure. Then it made my hands look like this. And I had those pig intestine skin stuff on me for a week to 2 weeks or something. And then my very last visit, I literally had that much on my hand. It was that little tiny part right there, because I was peeling it off after it got loose. And then yeah guys, after that my hand started to heal up and look pretty good. So back to the video. I literally spent October through December in Omaha, mostly because of that. And guys, that injury is the worst. I would never want to go through that again. It sucked so bad. It was the most pain I'd ever been in my life, and I never want to be in that much pain again. Anyways, just enjoy some of these clips real quick. So that was the progress of my hand. It looks good now. I mean, not a lot going on there. It's mostly like pinkish, pale skin now. I mean, it's looking good. Anyways, guys, that's the worst injuries I've ever had in my life for now. I'm sure there's going to be something on to top that soon. I just hope it's not soon because I'm still struggling financially because of how long I had to be out of work for that fucking treatment for my hand. It was not fun at all. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm literally 50 minutes into this recording. I said so much, and this is probably going to be like a 15-minute video. So anyways, guys, thank you guys very much for watching. Please like, favorite, subscribe, and look forward to more story videos because they're coming. So peace out. Have a great day.